Hey there, everyone. Stasma here. I hope you are all doing good. Today I'm here to talk to you about the new BTMIX module by Schlappi Engineering. So, what is the BTMIX? It can be seen as a 4-channel, one-operation logic module, mostly meant to process gate or trigger signals. But you can plug any kind of voltages into it, and it will output square over there, depending on what you feed into it. I have a patch going. For example, if I wanted to have more control over the kick drum, which is this cable over there, I will take the gate out of the nibbler that's triggering the kick drum, plug it to 1, and take the output of the line, the channel. I can mute it or unmute it whenever I want, using the switch over here. Or I can use a logic operation that I can choose with these 2 switches over here. And so if I plug something else to input 5, which is the one that corresponds to input 1, we are going to compare those 2 signals according to the logic operation of our choices. Before getting into the logic thing, let's plug all the 3 trigger sources that I'm using right now, so we can start to mute them whenever we would need. So here we have our kick drum. Here we have our metallic snare kind of thing. And here we have the FM sounds from the tree body. Okay, so let's focus on the kick drum. So now, if I decide to take one of the slower outputs of this nibbler and send it here, and flip the switch corresponding to that input, we now have the logic operation of this input compared to this one, right now doing a XOR logic. Now it is doing an AND logic. We also have the add, which is basically XOR, but which is also going to send 1 bit up once in a while. So this starts to trigger the sounds at this output. And this is OR, which is combining the gates. Let's use the add. So we can start to have all the 3 channels happening, even though This one is still muted. The interesting bit, now that we have everything living its life according to all the inputs and the logic, is that anytime we change the logic operation, we have a new pattern. Some are going to be very sparse, and in particular because it only outputs something when both inputs are high. XOR is going to be buzzier. OR is going to be a bit less buzzier, but it will, as it's combining all the inputs, we can get some very funny actions. And add is going to be a bit messy because of that bit that's going to be shifted on the upper channel. I made all this patch so you can have an idea of things that are possible to do with this. One of the other outputs that we haven't talked about yet is the stepped output. So combining all those information, all those bits, they get added together to create a stepped voltage source. Right now the melody is this stepped out from the nibbler, going into a quantizer and going to the tree body. Let's try with this one now. If you decide to use only the results of the logic operations to trigger things in your system and the stepped out to control pitches or whatever, any changes on the bit mix is going to be a full new pattern. Anytime you change something on the nibbler themselves, it's going to be the same. Kind of liked that behavior better for the melody. But we could use this to change something timbral. Like the phase index on the tree body. One other fun thing is that we can use the BTMIX at audio rate. So here I have sent a square wave from the tree body to this nibbler, and then the 8 out of this nibbler to clock the second one. So I have one processing the square wave of the tree body and then sending the info down to the next one. Just for reference, this is the square wave of the tree body. Now this is that same signal stepped out of the second nibbler. Here this is the stepped out of the first nibbler. And while I'm in the add mode, I'm able to perform very crude phase modulation. When monitoring the stepped out of the BTMIX. Because two high signals are going to carry over the next channel, this creates a weird phase relationship that creates that sound. And then I've patched some other signals from the two nibblers to add to this. Get some significant increase in volume the more you add different signals. This is something to be aware of. Just a filter sweep from the angle grinder. And now let's sweep the frequency of that tree body and see how it sounds. Adding phase modulation to the tree body itself results in very crude and harsh sounds. You can also use the XOR logic as some sort of a crude ring modulator. Also, simple thing. Patching a sine wave or any other waves into any of these inputs will convert it into a square wave, which is something that can be useful. And if you want to start to add the logic part of this, you can take another sine wave and put it to the corresponding other channel. And then you get that crude, old school XOR ring modulator sound that's easier to recognize at audio rate. One other interesting thing is to use the BTMIX to create step voltages out of other step voltages. So here I have this one. I'm going to send this to control the filter on the angle grinder. So we have this pattern possible. We can have this slower one. That's always going up. Let's make it a tiny bit more quick and complex. So we could patch those different step voltages here, and they will just get compared, which is going to give us some other step voltages out of here. As we have the phased out versions as well. It can be interesting to try them out to increase the complexity of the output. as always, with the BTMIX using the add logic, it's going to be much more complex because it will start to add bits to the upper channel. It's also, of course, a way taking the gate out to grab some gates, some rhythmic informations out of voltages that can be stepped or not stepped, but in that case, as they are stepped, they are going to be rhythmically related to the clock. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye bye.